Greetings and welcome, y'all. So, we actually have the ability to successfully provide something like a almost almighty and free security service to humanity now. This is for everybody, potentially here. If you are intelligent and listen to what I have to say, you will actually have and attain the most superior intelligence there is and be able to also use this in your life to your maximum benefit and safety. It is written, the beginning of wisdom is the fear of God. And it also says, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. Now, the key is that real, true, intelligence even, divine source intel, the most superior form and type of intelligence that can be attained by human beings and applied in their lives for them to be highly successful in a legitimate way, right, is what we have, and it's exactly what we have. And there's more where that is coming from. And it's more superior than all of the intelligence agencies of the world put together. Picture that for a second. So what I'm telling you is that we actually have a divine intel source that is more superior, more powerful, more accurate, and eternally and absolutely and completely totally trustworthy, that is always accurate. There is no error involved in what we know. The only errors that can exist are based on human frailty or just simply what could be described as the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak sometimes. Like, in other words, human frailty. That's the only thing that can cause any kind of error in our operation, so to say. So think about this for a second. Imagine if we had all these intelligence agencies of the world put together, cooperating with each other. Even everything that they could have in terms of intel and like a big picture of anything and everything that's going on, here or there, still would not come close. It wouldn't come anywhere close to how much we know and how much we know at all times. That being said, you should seriously consider what I'm saying. Take it to heart when I say that. You see, for the average person to comprehend this on a very practical level, this existence that we have as human beings, it was designed, there's evidence of that, with a certain amount of order. And if you have insight into this order, you have insight into how everything works gradually and sustainably to and at varying degrees, even very high degrees of overall accuracy that allow you to accomplish things that could be and are generally classified as miracles. Yet miracles are said to be a result of God's higher wisdom. And God's wisdom is given to us, thank God Almighty, to be responsibly and properly, practically applied in our lives, right? Now the thing is, see, it's actually very, very interesting. If you were to look at the world today and all the perils and the dangers, or let's say look at all the potential security risks in life, because everything starts with a risk at a risky time. So there's a time when there are security risks that can then exponentially evolve into what could be classified as problems. Anything you can imagine that could go wrong in life. First of all, one has to in fact comprehend that all of life is cyclical. Now, what this is saying is that there's a time and a place for everything on earth and under heaven. And there are in fact times when there is no risk present in your life whatsoever. It doesn't matter who it is. The temporarily most, hopefully divine authority responsibly wielding person, or the most basically operating civilian, right? From the president to those in kindergarten, like the entire spectrum of humans, right? There's a time when there's a threat in the entire spectrum of humans and around and potentially through them, and there is a time when there is not. Knowing this, first of all, makes life very easy. What I'm telling you is the truth. So in other words, there is a time when there can be a danger that is so simple, it's not even from anybody else, it's simply from yourself, that can actually lead to like a disaster in the most unimaginably unexpectable way. While at the same time, there is a time when there is no disaster, no threat, and nothing that can go wrong, basically, and not even any danger stemming from any other human, no matter who it is, at another time. Knowing the difference between these times is key. This is why you must, in fact, read and study a book called Self-Mastery and Fate with the Cycles of Life, and learn to do scientific operation. Science being defined as a proper application of wisdom. Live your life scientifically by practically applying wisdom in your life, and you will be extremely successful, extremely healthy, wealthy, and sustainably. Notice I said sustainably, ultimately safe, in as much as you sustainably maintain a certain amount of self-discipline. Now, when I say sustainably safe, I'm talking about all year round and every year and all of your life, folks. This is real and this is true, all right? So you better take it to heart. The thing is, the knowledge of how life in the universe works, this is in fact comprehensible by us to certain degrees and to very high degrees based on however much work we put in terms of what is required by the Creator to attain His blessings, and also, though, to simply be intelligently investigating life and discovering how it really works. And also by having learned certain amounts of wisdom, taken that knowledge into the field and successfully applied it and been victorious with it, and then reflected on how things went and gained further data in the form of intelligence and real working knowledge, and analyzing the data from our successful scientific experiments in life. When is this? In the evenings, when you reflect about what happened during the day, you realize certain details of things that happened. And it becomes more clear to you how this all works. You document that, remember that, and you're more successful next time. And this goes on and on, right? So there's a scientific operational mode and an observational mode, and then we gain even more wisdom in our lives because it's like you receive a standard amount, you work with that, it works really good, and then you learn and you discover how it works even more, and then you gain even more wisdom to the point where you are completely and totally unstoppable, potentially. In fact, there is a way that you can live with wisdom being practically applied in your life that makes you essentially very, very close to the Almighty in terms of operational capability, where actually the only thing that can stop you is yourself. And that, of course, with due respect to the Creator and certain order that He's put into effect, that's universally in effect, it also works like the law of compensation, or things that where there is a reaction for every action. So, what's interesting is that if you were to take a look at what's happening in the world, for example, look at the news, look at all these different, reports, and you can see it. It's all over. It's on YouTube. You can see this president meets with this president. They talk about this. This is happening. You can see the level of intelligence that humans have by the fruits and just the quality of what they produce, really. And that's pertaining to anybody. What I'm telling you all is that, see, this is actually intended to be a tutorial video for all humans, and also for young people and mature people too, and also though for those who are seeking to be able to and actually successfully live a good life that is safe, that is legitimate, that is successful, right? That is blessed. This should be the case for all humans, actually. So what you must in fact do is quite simply begin to investigate life, and also read certain books that are actually filled with accurate and true and eternally valuable divine wisdom, okay? And also honestly reflect about your life from time to time, and pay attention to the small still voice or divine intuition within you that is informing you of certain things, because we have a unison state of existence with the Creator, because we're created in His image and after His own likeness, and that equates that the highest form of intelligence is in fact within us and available to us as human beings, because God is a living man of God, or a righteous woman, ideally speaking. So imagine this, right? Now from a practical sort of kind of point of view, it's like, okay, imagine having God informing you of everything there is you need to know at any given point in time. You sure would know a lot, and you sure would know how to live really good and really safe. That's how it works. So picture this. Also, within the lives of human beings, and this is, can be utilized by all human beings, yet also within the lives of younger people, younger humans who have not yet attained, shall we say, or reached a certain state that is automatically predestined within the life cycles of every human, that what could be classified as enlightenment, cosmic attunement, or reaching a certain level of maturity and fullness, whereby one is then able to live, realize, benefit, and increase, and increasingly also benefit and lead to the collective benefit legitimately from one's full divine human potential. This usually occurs around the age of 33, right? Younger people out there especially, you must in fact seriously be attentive so that you will be able to live your life with and with the maximum benefit that is available to you and that is available to us all by God's providence. Now, you do not have to be religious or anything like that. The terminology that I'm using is just to explain the fact that, see, life stems from a universal source that is perfect forever. And this includes the order and nature and even the way that life has been also technically sort of, made to work a certain way that is good, and that leads to everybody's life actually being the best that it can be, including having health, wealth, and a maximum sustainable amount of health and wealth and even providence and things like money and all these amenities of life and good things. There's a perfect amount too, because, see, imagine if you just had $1 million on your account. You were so smart, right, that you just, here's $1 million, you're generating $1 million every day on your bank account, right? Every day you get up, you check your account, there's $1 million more on that account. Like, you would start to be, the average person would start to become overwhelmed, and this could actually lead to decisions or things that might not even be very good. Rather, there's a steady divine providence available where, like, let's say all year round, and then every year, it gets better and better. You're always healthy and wealthy. The ability to actually preemptively identify those times in life when there are dangers present. Listen, let me explain this to you. You can be reassured when I say dangers. What one actually has to understand and what you all should know is that, look, danger isn't even dangerous anymore, even though it has to be regarded as danger if you're smart enough. What I'm saying is like, how should I explain this? So anything that's dangerous, it poses a threat to our life, health, wealth, and security and whatever. These things, they are not immediately very serious or as serious as they sound. As with everything in life, things start with thoughts, ideas, and then like words, deeds, and actions, and actual physical events and results. So what I'm saying is that danger is very, very, very small. Just like this tree that was built, that grew here, was built, by the Creator gradually. That what is known as danger. Now, this could be anything that you can think of that is, that is evil or not good. And there's plenty of examples of it in the world, and not, heaven forbid. But listen, if I were handing out eternal keys, free keys to eternal safety to human beings, like I am right now, then you would be smart to have one and to use it responsibly. So what I'm saying is that everything in life actually does not come from out there so much. Rather, it comes from in here and in our heart and mind. So danger is actually, it's like all the danger in life that there could be. First of all, it's not as dangerous as you might think, and it doesn't come from unidentifiable external sources. It actually can, although it shouldn't, but it is possible for it to come, and it always only comes from in here, from your own heart and mind. Why is that? Because you are you, I am I, and we have ideas, and these ideas lead to thoughts, deeds, actions, and actual real life results. Good or very good, or vice versa. For it to be very good, folks, all you must know is this. You have to practice self-mastery and begin to master your life and your destiny. And this includes being able to master your yourself, your thoughts, and pay attention so that you live in harmony with the cycles of life and you have self-discipline. Now, what is an example of this? How does this really work? I will tell you right now. See, as human beings, we have urges or impulses or ideas to do things or to be creatively active, so to say, with things. At different times, there are different urges and ideas and things that come to us automatically, right? Based on the quality of the periods of the cycles of life that we are in. Now, the right things at the right times as an urge, idea, impulse, thought, word, deed, action, and actual physical, real life results and situational, events can be very, very good. And at the same time, disaster. How do you know the difference? How do I know, like, seriously, you as a human being, right? A young person, for example, making a decision to go and study somewhere, making a decision to go move to a foreign country, to go and learn the language of that country. Or just like, there's so many decisions in life that, listen, if you make the right decision, you're super healthy, wealthy, successful, and safe, and sustainably safe in life. Literally, really, practically, truly. But see, in order to make the right decision, you have to have a certain amount of wisdom. And you have to have real wisdom. Now, this wisdom is actually encoded in books. And these books were written by men who are wise and women who are wise. Mostly, though, the wise men of old. Hey, to them, thank you and rest in peace, right? Think about this. And so, like, the most important wisdom in life and about life is freely available to us nowadays. And it's in the form of books. Primarily the Holy Bible, things like Proverbs of Solomon, and more specifically and more detailedly, though, a certain book that I named called Self-Mastery and Fate with the Cycles of Life by H. Spencer Lewis. Rest in peace. So, listen, it's absolutely imperative for you, especially as a young person, right, who's just starting out to and getting started, to have some kind of a legitimate, actually truly wise guidance in your life. Now listen, at the end of the day, right, the Creator is with us, the life giver is always with us, and he also guides us. And most people, including myself, right, have a certain thing that is like intuition, where we sort of know, okay, yeah, I get this feeling that's like a certain gut feeling and like a hunch about this, and then I think about it for a while. I use wisdom and I realize, wait, that is correct. I'm seeing clearly that's what's going on. Wow. Or you might get a sort of like an intuitive sense of something. You have to be careful with that. Look, very simply put, there is a way whereby those of all ages can simply actually immediately begin to live a very good life. And it does not cost money. This is above and beyond the physical world in terms of where this providence to do this comes from. It's the basic current of life. See, look, at the end of the day, you as a human being are like a captain of a ship. You're making decisions and you're navigating. So the first thing you must do is actually stop and take a deep breath, right? And actually realize and identify what cycles of life you're in right now as a human. Because every human, regardless of any variable factors within human existence whatsoever, and because of the fact that this is a universal system wherein life exists, every human is in certain life cycles. This is unavoidable. Neither does it need to be avoided. In fact, knowing this makes you more equipped and potentially capable of, and actually ultimately more successful and healthy and wealthy and blessed than you could ever have imagined, and that increasingly. Life is just simply all cyclical. So what you must in fact do is read the book that I posted, that I'm going to post in the description. There's a free PDF of it online, and I recommend getting a hard copy too. Now, look, how does a man of God, hopefully, right? How does a man of God, right, come to the point where he's making, or one is making, or like he's making a YouTube video saying everything that I'm saying here of a certainty, right? Look, it can be compared to a tree that is healthy, that has reached a certain point of maturity, and is now bearing fruits that are good because this tree was nourished with all the nutrients and the water and the perfect, earth related things, and just a healthy upbringing, right? And was provided with the right resources to fully manifest its divine human maximum potential and steadily, benefit from it, even leading to the highest good being accomplished overall, right? Well, how does this practically look? Your parents. Okay, because somebody actually has to tell you the truth. Now, there are many people, there are many humans. Like, listen, if you go and look on YouTube, there's thousands of, for example, pastors, preachers, there are teachers, there are so many different people who have wisdom to share, yet the real serious and actually like seasoned wise men, even men of God, right, who know what they're talking about, right, who can honestly tell you that, listen, do you know that essentially there is in fact no limit to what can be accomplished in accordance with God's will if you actually have true wisdom. And moreover, it is in fact the case that life, and all of life, to certain degrees, as is necessary and divinely permissible, essentially, can be comprehended, right? In other words, there is a way that you can live where the uncertainties of life are mostly eliminated, and it is clear to you, and you know what the future holds. Moreover, you can actually determine the future and make it be good in accordance with God's will every day. Okay? And I do this every day, and it works good, and so should you. How many people out there who claim to be wise are able to honestly state the fact that they can foresee the future, moreover, make it a certain way? Okay? How many people out there can tell you whether your future child of God is going to be a male or a female? Okay, test your knowledge and see how accurate it is. You see this YouTube video? Try this. Try this at home. What I'm saying is that real actual wisdom, you see, yes, there's a theoretical instruction. You've got holy books, you've got wise men of God to tell you and to guide you and to teach you. Yet the thing is, it's like going through basic training in the military and then passing whatever, making it through, passing whatever class or whatever exams or whatever, like you make it through successfully. And now you go into the field and you successfully operate with what you've learned, and it works, and now you gain more knowledge. That's how it is. See, the thing is that there's so many talking heads out there, and most of them, according to my interpretation and knowledge and level of intelligence, are not even close to mastering their lives and destiny. Moreover, humanity has to become master and masters of their life and destiny, right? Responsibly. This is the greatest discipline that humans can practice. It's self-mastery. It's the most important discipline because it is the original way of living also that includes the original all-encompassing divine knowledge of our divine human being and life and existence. So it's like really actually being a real human being with divine knowledge to the max at all times. What that enables you to do is to live your life in a very good way, and that all the time. There are no variable, unknown uncertainties that are not known to us, okay? Like, you don't have to worry about the future. You don't have to worry about what could go wrong, because you know ahead of time when it is even possible for something to go wrong. And you can then also avoid that and safely circumnavigate the potential obstacles. You see, listen, I got to make this clear. I hope you're paying attention to what I'm saying, because if you do and you also work with this wisely, you will be so successful. Moreover, more than just being healthy and wealthy and successful, your life will be so interesting and beautiful and increasingly like divinely surprising and interesting and really, really good, and always better than you thought it could be, even the best way that it could be, right? That's how it is. So, like, think about this. If I were to tell you that I know ahead of time when there is any type of danger or anything that could go wrong, and that for the next 108, 120, whatever, maybe, hopefully, for the rest of my life, I know exactly when and where, during the daytime, during the nighttime, during this time, like all year round, every day, every hour, every 3 hours, every time I know what there is to know that leads to me knowing the maximum amount of what somebody can know about everything in their life. And that goes on and on and on. How many of you know this? How many people out there, listen, how many of you can foresee the future accurately and moreover make the future a certain way? Ask yourself and try this and see if you're right. Remember, there's a lot of room for growth here. It's like, how come this is possible, though? How is this possible? It's because of something called wisdom. It's because of knowing that life is cyclical and that we exist in a system that is perfect, where there's a time and a place, right? Even a very good time and a very good place for every very good thing on earth and under heaven and in human life in general. And the exact opposite also. So, in other words, in your life, there is always a certain general course or heading that if you're on this and you move on this trajectory, you're on this path, there's a general amount of safety and standard safety and security and health and wealth and even providence and protection. And even more so, a certain current, a type of current, or a type of a wave that you're riding on that is good and that leads and maintains a good state for you and in your life and overall. While there are things that are dangers, but see, these dangers, they start, just like all things in life, they start very small. So what I'm saying is that the only danger there is in life is, in fact, the only danger there is in life is like an idea. And it always starts with an idea. And that idea is just simply the idea to do something at the wrong time. That's all it is. Can you imagine that what I'm saying is true? In other words, danger in life doesn't come from nowhere. It starts with ideas. Just like anything in life starts with ideas. So, because of the fact that life is cyclical, if you act on the right ideas or impulses or like divine inspiration at the right time, it leads to maximum benefit. Whereas if you act on the wrong ideas and urges and like kind of impulses at the wrong time, it leads to, let's say, varying degrees of, first of all, potential risk, danger, and then whatever else can come with that. But see, all of this can be avoided. Dear guests, friends, and viewers, do you realize what I'm saying? I'm saying that all the dangers and all the problems in life that any human can experience, anything that's a problem, like anything, like what they call poverty, illness, fire, burn, metaphysically, right? Keep it clean, right? Keep your speech clean. Any of the problems, anything that's evil, do you know what that is? It's all something that started with the most minuscule impulse, idea, because of the quality of the period of the cycle of life that it was in. When you had this idea, it was not the time for that idea to be then thought about and talked about and done and manifested into a real thing. That is where all the problems can and actually come from in life. Anything that is out of harmony with the cycles of life. Now, if you maintain a certain amount of self-discipline, you make decisions that are wise, these are going to be like ideas that then you think about them at the right time, in harmony with the cycles of life, right? You act on them. So you think about them, speak about them, do them, act on them at the right time. Guess what? They lead to maximum benefit. So in other words, human beings, we all have different ideas during the day and during the nighttime. At a particular time, you'll have an idea, and if you act on that idea, it will turn into a really good experience that will have included blessings and health and wealth increase and just good things, right? Whereas the exact same opposite is also true. So knowing the difference between this is key. Now, how do we know the difference? Because we know that life is cyclical. Now, I'll explain how life is cyclical. First of all, as it is most relevant to our human existence, right? Let's say the overall simple period of overall human life, generally speaking, is from about 0 to 144 years, right? Maximum. That's your simple overall period of life. Simple overall period of human life. There are about 9 different cycles of life that you need to pay attention to, preferably every 3 hours of the day, or let's say once a day. And hey, the more you pay attention to the cycles of life that you're in and live in harmony with them, the more successful you are. And I'm talking about being so successful that it's almost like miracle life, divine miracles all the time. Let's put it that way. You have 9 different cycles of life that are relevant, mostly relevant to us, that should be monitored every 3 hours, ideally, during the day, or every day, or every couple of days. Yet, look, the more work you put in wisely into self-mastery, the more you master your life and your destiny, and the more you live in the absolute most blessed and maximum, healthy, wealthy, and just super very good state of existence more and more. So you've got your soul personality based on your birthday and the time and date of your birthday. You've got a soul personality. Okay, that's all in the book. Then you've got the simple overall period of human life. Then you have the annual life cycle period. That's every year. Always starts on your birthday and it ends just before your birthday. And in this approximately 365 day annual life cycle period, that is the same every year, mind you, you have 7 segments of approximately 52 days, right? That, in these 7 segments of about 52 days, there are particular areas of business, health, and personal life that if you're creatively active in these areas wisely, you'll be maximally successful and wealthy and healthy as a result, right? And then you have the 3.5 day lunar long units that alternate between negative and positive based on the time and the date of the new moon or the full moon. These can be identified. Then you have the short lunar units that alternate between negative and positive basically every 3 hours. And then you have the daily periods of the cycles of life of about 3 hours and 25 minutes. And there are 7 of those a day. 7 days makes us strong. Now, how do we actually really practice self-mastery? I will tell you how. I will show you now, at this point, how to do this, how to master your life and destiny, how to always live healthily and wealthily and securely, right? To avoid all danger. Remember, it starts very small. If you can avoid acting on certain ideas, you can essentially avoid pretty much all the danger there is in life, right? If you can act on the right ideas at the right times, you can benefit all of your life, and so can everybody. So how does this actually work now? I'll show you how. Pay attention, watch. It's very simple. Right now, at this very moment, okay, it's 1:45 p.m. on a Sunday. Right, okay. It's a negative short lunar unit. We have a low tide at the nearest maritime port in like 2 hours, so that's a negative short lunar unit. Then it is a negative 3.5 day lunar unit because new moon was about under 3 days ago. That negative long and short equals a double negative. Okay. Now, what's the daily period of the cycles of life? Right? For the next 3 hours and like 25 minutes, it's a D period. Okay. There's certain things where this period is good for, and there are certain things where it's not good for. Be occupied with what it's good for, right? Okay. Then you also have annual life cycle period, right? So 365 days, approximately, all year round, you have, what do you have? You have what's called the annual life cycle period. Those are 7 segments of about 52 days. So I'm currently in, what is it? The 7th annual life cycle period. Like the last 52 days before my birthday. So I know that during these 52 days, there are certain things that I should do in business life, health life, personal life, and there are certain things I shouldn't do. And hence, I'm occupied with what I should do. So then I get maximum blessings, right? Health, wealth, success, right? Then there's a simple overall period of human life, right? How old am I? Forever young, 36, right? Okay, so from 0 to 144 years, you have something called the simple overall period of human life, right? Where during this time, right, there are certain things in these 7-year cycles whereof, you have 144 divided by 7. So there's always 7-year cycles from 0 to 144 where you're going to automatically be busy with certain things because that's the stage of your spiritual evolution or life cycle that you're in at that time. So there's a way to be in harmony with life overall that leads to maximum benefit. And also you have your soul personality, right? I have my soul personality. I know my soul personality, what I should work on, what I should in business, health, and personal life, and what I shouldn't. And so every 3 hours, ideally during the day, you'll check this navigational info by checking the life cycle periods that you're in and operating in harmony with them. The more you do this, the more successful you are.